Hey, what's going on, guys? Daniel from ModBot here, and in this video I'm going to be designing a RetroPie enclosure. Now, most of you probably know what RetroPie is, but for those of you that don't, I'll kind of go ahead and briefly summarize it. It's basically a image file for the Raspberry Pi, which is an all-in-one computer that just installs a bunch of emulators, and it is a extremely clean interface. I guess kind of similarly, excuse me, to like on the JTAG Xbox, how I could play emulators. It's kind of similar in that sense, but it is just a crazy clean interface with a lot of features. I mean, literally everything like N64 and before it has. Like, I mean, Super Nintendo, Genesis, I believe Saturn, NES, Game Boy, MAME. It's like you name it, and it's really cool because when you are copying over whatever ROMs you have, you literally just insert the USB stick and it copies it. Like, you don't have to do anything. You insert it and it'll just transfer them over to its respective folder, and then when you reset it, all of the ROMs will be in their correct place. And you can even install Kodi on it, which is really cool because then you can have a game console and a media center all in one with Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, so it's killer. But anyways, there's a lot of cases out there for the Raspberry Pi and I guess for the RetroPie too, but I wanted to design my own. I wanted one that was a little bit bigger. Most of them are just the size of the Raspberry Pi, and that's all nice and dandy, but it's a really small main board, and I wanted something that kind of represented more of a console. So I set out to basically design a case that was bigger. I didn't have too many like requirements on what I wanted exactly. I was kind of inspired by the Xbox 360 in a sense when it came to design, even though it didn't really fully get that way in the end. But I just wanted it to be, decent sized, top and bottom shell. Originally, I wanted to have a fan in the case. Totally not necessary for Raspberry Pi, but I wanted to have one. Didn't end up happening in this first model. Which I basically called the EmuPi. That is like these series. This is going to be the EmuPi prototype 1, and then I'll expand off of this initial model. But yeah, and then I basically wanted to have an on and off power button, which also didn't end up working out. It's kind of complicated with the Raspberry Pi when it comes to like adding a kill switch. There's not really a method that I can find to add a kill switch to turn it on and off from the front. Basically, your options are to link up a button to like a GPIO port and send a code. So like when you press the button, it basically triggers a code, Python script, in the background that initiates a turn off sequence, which I messed around with for a while and just said to hell with it. So my final version has a button, but it's more just an aesthetic thing, and it kind of glows a little bit, so I guess it's kind of cool. I went with vents on the side because I thought it would look neat, and also similarly to like the Xbox having vents on the side, I just wanted to do the same thing. It's got a micro SD port on the side where you can, with the help of like a little flathead screwdriver, either remove or insert the micro SD card into the Raspberry Pi without having to open it up, which is, I think, really convenient. And then obviously on the back, I put slots for the power input, which is a micro USB, the HDMI port input slot, and the audio input if you need to use that port. And then I used a 1 to 4 USB extension that I basically installed to the front, so that way you've got 4 USB ports if you want to play with multiple people. Although you can use Bluetooth and you won't even need those ports, but nice having the option. So, and I don't know, 4 is I think a sweet number. And yeah, so then I basically went ahead and designed a little logo for EmuPi in Photoshop, took it in over here, and basically carved it into the top half of the EmuPi case. And then I printed a test print of the bottom to see if everything fit correctly. The USB ports didn't fit correctly, so I had to do some adjusting on that, and I had to add a little bit of a chafer to the ports on the back to be able to get the cables to fit in easily. But once that was done, then I set out to kind of adding just some more details, also adding a lip to the bottom and top, so that way the two halves would kind of sit cleanly with each other and lock into place. After that, I went ahead and basically added some 3mm mounting holes on the two halves, so that way you can basically use long screws to put them together. Sadly, I didn't really have the correct screws. I mean, I did, but I want to get some like uniform screws for this thing. But I didn't really have them in my. I had to kind of use what I had in the moment. So, but it did work in the end, and the two halves do tie together pretty well, which is good. I'm actually extremely happy that this worked, because I mean, again, I've designed some stuff, but it's a little bit more difficult when you're designing things. Well, kind of a lot more difficult when you're designing things that actually have to use certain measurements or specs. You know, like when you're trying to get ports to fit and whatnot, you can't just have it look nice. You have to use a calibrator and basically measure all the different, you know, angles and lengths and stuff like that. And it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. I think all in all, this case took me, I don't know, maybe like 6-ish hours to design. I really don't keep track, and I always do other things while I'm designing, so it's hard for me to say exactly how long it took. But anyways, this is the end result of the prototype 1, which again I will be expanding off of. Please let me know in the comments down below whether you are interested in seeing this project as it progresses through the different models and upgrades and things like that. And also, if you've got any things you'd like to see or added on to this, let me know. And you know, I'm always open to ideas and stuff like that. But basically, I've got a few things. I want to add either plexiglass or acrylic like insert to where it says EmuPi. I'd like to add an LED on the inside so that way it glows through. I also still want to add a little fan, even though it's not necessary. I really want to do that. Along with that, I'd like to add some feet, just little, probably adhesive. I don't think I'll print them. I'll probably just pick up some like rubber foot things with adhesive so that I can stick them on the four corners and also hide the screws. But basically, this is it. All put together and assembled. I used a lime green PLA because I had an extra roll of it that had been sitting around forever, and I figured, heck, this is a kind of perfect opportunity to, you know, take it out and take it for a test run. And then I basically just went ahead and used some hot glue, as you can see there, to secure everything in place. I mean, the Raspberry Pi is secured with screws. The button on the front is secured with a nut. I just added a little bit of hot glue to those to kind of reinforce it. But once you put the top on, I mean, it's super solid. Along with that, the USB ports are decently locked in place. I just added hot glue because, again, I want it to be a solid and secure thing. I don't want it to feel flimsy, and I think the end result is extremely solid. So, yeah. And then, again, I just kind of show you some of the things I messed around with. I tested out a couple of my old games that I really enjoyed, Super Mario World and Donkey Kong Country. And this thing is so cool just because, I mean, the Raspberry Pi has come so far in its revisions, and with this current one, the Raspberry Pi 3 Model B, you've got Bluetooth and Wi-Fi built in, which is killer. So you can literally use like any controller with this. From any USB controller, you just map the buttons in the actual Emu Station software that's, you know, built into this thing. You can use Bluetooth like PS3, PS4 controllers. You can use a keyboard and a mouse. I mean, literally like any controller you can use. It's freaking awesome. And then along with that, because you've got the Wi-Fi, you're allowed to basically update this thing. You can add sources and whatnot. I mean, I was able to install Kodi from within the RetroPie OS, and along with that, I was able to run Kodi obviously from the device, which is really cool to have an all-in-one media center, because I mean, Kodi is my preferred streaming platform that I actually made a video on not that long ago. But anyways, if you guys want to also see, I could probably make a quick little tutorial. It's extremely easy to install RetroPie on a Raspberry Pi, but if you're interested in seeing like how to actually install the OS, I can make a quick little tutorial for that as well. I mean, it's really, really simple. Like, most of you guys will probably be like, oh, like, why are you making a video? But I don't know. Again, for some people, things that, you know, are simple to people that understand and have messed with things before, you know, it's obviously a lot easier than for someone that's interested but doesn't know and has never done anything like that before. So Anyways, on that note, don't forget to smack the like button. And once again, let me know what you think in the comments down below. And until next time, guys, this is Daniel from ModBot. Thank you so much for watching. This is the EmuPi. Give it a thumbs up. And it's actually for sale if you're interested in purchasing it. I can place a link in the eBay description, or in the video description, eBay. And basically, the money that I get from it's just going to go towards the next model and stuff like that. So, yeah, on that note, I am out. Peace, guys.